In this video, I'm going to show you Google VO3's incredible update, which now allows you to add voices to uploaded images, which opens up a whole new world of possibilities. And I'll show you loads of awesome examples and pro tips in this video. Okay, let's get into it. Now, you may be thinking this doesn't seem like a big deal, but it really is, as now we can nail consistency as we get to curate the images before we let VO3 add the sound and dialogue. So let's go through a few different use case examples. For this first example, I turned myself into loads of different characters, all from using this one initial image of myself. I'll show you how to create these images shortly, but here's the videos I created by adding these images into VO3, and I'll show you how to prompt them in VO3 shortly.
Raise my beer, give a cheer, but dang me, it's water in here. Je joue de l'accordéon, c'est un vrai bazar. Les chats s'enfuient, quel désespoir. Skriker i stormen, på bergets toppar. Death metal lever, jag går tills vi dör. Rasgueo, grito, es puro desastre. Pero más fuerte significa que estoy tocando más rápido. Bier in der Hand, Sonne im Gesicht. In Deutschland leben wir wie ein Fuff. Prost auf die Jagd. Hanno detto di abbassare i bassi, non l'umore della folla.
I know most of those were singing videos, but I thought it would be a really good test to see how well VO3 handles audio with these images. And to be honest, I was blown away with it. And of course you noticed that I tried different languages as well, which it had no problem with. So I'll show you how I prompted a few of these. So using this image of me in a Swedish death metal band, for the prompt I added in Swedish death metal music is playing, and the man sings in Swedish, and then I just put in the lyrics. Now you may think, why didn't I just put in the Swedish language into the prompt? VO3 doesn't actually work that way. You have to actually write it out in English and ask the character to say it in a certain language. And by adding Swedish death metal music is playing at the start, the video has the music playing in the background. And I actually use VO3 Fast for all of my videos. I've done multiple tests with the same image using VO3 Fast and the normal VO3 model, and to be honest, I don't notice a difference. So by using VO3 Fast, you're saving 5 times the amount of credits. Now I've actually created a full YouTube video about VO3 versus VO3 Fast, with some really interesting results. So if you want to check that out, I've left a link to it down below. And if we just listen back to that video again,
Skriker i stormen, på bergets toppar. Death metal lever, jag går tills vi dör.
I think it did an awesome job at following the prompt. And what's really interesting is you can play around with accents as well. So with this image of me as a cowboy holding a beer, I gave it the prompt of country music is playing, the man sings in a southern Texan accent, and then I wrote the lyrics for the song. And then after the lyrics, I put in, and pours out the water out of the bottle. So if we watch back the video again, it follows the prompt perfectly.
Raise my beer, give a cheer, but dang me, it's water in here.
So make sure to add in exactly what you want into the prompt. But just remember that these are only 8 seconds, so don't overload it with a really complex prompt. If you're looking for help with your VO3 prompts, I've actually created a free VO3 prompt builder within ChatGPT, which has been tailor-made to help you create the perfect prompt for your VO3 videos. So definitely check that out if you're using ChatGPT. Now you may be thinking, how did I create myself in all of those different scenarios? So let's have a look at creating your consistent images. One of my favorite methods is using Flux context. It is available on a lot of websites. One of my favorites is using OpenArt AI. And if you go to create, and then you can choose the Flux context model from here. So there's Flux Pro and Flux Context Max. Now you can see I've already generated a few images. All you have to do is drop in your reference image here. So I've put in an image of my face just so it knows what I look like. And I've put into the prompt, he is an astronaut in space. And the result looks pretty good. You can definitely tell it's me, and it's just a great way of putting yourself in different scenes. Now, my new favorite method of creating consistent characters is using Higsfield AI's latest Soul Consistent Characters tool. You add in loads of different images of your face. So here you can see I've already generated one for myself with 27 photos. I just used a bunch of different angles of my face and it creates the model pretty quickly. Then if you go to create an image, it will pop up with this prompt box down here. Custom character one works with the Higsfield Soul model, and the great thing is you can also use the Flux Context Max model here as well. I've got Higsfield Soul selected, and you can see I've added in my Jack character here. And here you can access loads of different looks. There are tons of different looks to play around with, from iPhone kind of shots to realistic to selfies and so much more. They each give a really unique look. And here are a few of the images I've created with it. So if we come to some of these images here, if I click on this one, my initial prompt was a close-up of a cowboy holding a beer on a ranch. And then Higsfield actually elaborates on that prompt and adds a bit more detail. This image was actually created using the iPhone look. And this one here is a selfie, and I think it looks insanely realistic. This one's me having a drink in the German countryside. And to be honest, if I posted this on social media, I don't think anyone would know it was AI.
Day one in Germany. The brochure lied. No castles, just cows. I haven't seen Wi-Fi in 6 hours. This is how documentaries start. Finally, a human. Wait, no, just a very judgmental scarecrow.
You can have a lot of fun. So here's a grungier, older version of me playing heavy metal. Here's me playing the accordion in the streets of Paris. Going for a cheeky skydive. I would definitely check out OpenArt or Higsfield, and I'll make sure to leave links down below for you. So by using these powerful image tools, we can create consistency across our videos in VO3. As VO3 previously, you could only generate videos with audio with a text prompt. So each time you would put a text in, it would generate a different looking character. So in this next example, I wanted to create a character that looked like me doing a stand-up comedy show. And because VO3 can only do 8-second clips, I had to make sure I had slightly different images which still looked consistent for each 8-second video. And this is where Flux Context saves the day. So using the method I talked about before, I added my face into Flux Context and said turn me into a stand-up comedian on stage. So it created this image which I really liked. So now I have my base image for the rest of my comedy scene. So I want to try create a few different angles that look consistent to this image, so that when I cut between them, it doesn't look too jarring and it feels like you're watching the same show. So I've added that image into Higsfield using the context model, and you can type in something like show me a different angle of this scene. And you can keep doing this until you have a few different images that you can use for VO3. So I've generated a few different images of different angles from this same scene. So when I create these videos and stitch them together, it looks like you're watching the same show but from different camera angles. I also wanted to create a shot of the audience. So using Flux Context, I said, show me the audience that the man is looking at. And it created this awesome picture of an audience. So think about these kind of shots that can help add variety to your videos. So let's watch this short comedy skit.
Coming all the way from Middle-earth, New Zealand, please welcome Jack.
I used to play piano by ear. Now I use my hands. Why don't eggs tell jokes? They'd crack each other up. What do you call cheese that isn't yours? Nacho cheese. Yeah, comedy's real glamorous, sweating under lights, and now I'm dehydrated too. Living the dream. Thank you, everyone. You've been a shit audience.
I'm actually pretty happy with how that turned out. I did slightly change looks throughout some of it, but overall I think it looks like the same character. And it just has a very natural feel to it. And for this next example, it's now possible to create consistent ads. I had this idea of myself promoting an Atomic Gains supplement product. So using the skills that we've talked about before with context, I created some images of myself. I also generated the product. And to blend them together, you can actually add 2 images into Flux Context. So I can add my character and my product in the same image together. So now that I've generated my shots, I've ran them through VO3, and here is the finished advert.
Taking atomic gains has really transformed my life.
All you need is 1 scoop of atomic gains every 30 minutes. It's that simple. Bloody hell, that's disgusting.
It contains over 30,000 essential and non-essential ingredients. It's proven to increase muscle mass by a whopping 10,000%.
If you want insane muscles like these, then definitely check out Atomic Gains.
Atomic Gains. Leave no muscle behind. There is a 100% chance of extreme flatulence.
I think that turned out really well. It was a very tongue-in-cheek comedic tone, but that's what I was going for. Now you may be thinking that the voices can change between shot to shot. If you want to make sure that the character has the same voice throughout the whole video, then my tip is to use 11 labs. So for this example, I created a short 3-shot story about this wizard leaving his oven on, and I want his voice to sound the same throughout the whole shot. So we want to use 11 labs voice changer. And then you can just drag in the video here, and it will automatically detect the audio. And if I listen back to it,
At last, the dragon of flame shall kneel before. Wait, did I leave the oven on?
and then over here you can choose whatever voice you want to turn it into. And within the library of 11 labs, they have a Merlin the Wizard voice. So if I choose that, now you can play around with these settings to slightly change the output, but all you have to do is click on Generate Speech. Okay, so it's changed the voice into this wizard voice from 11 labs, and then if I add the other 2 shots into here and do the same thing, hopefully when I stitch them all together, it will sound like the same character throughout the whole story. So let's have a listen.
At last, the dragon of flame shall kneel before. Wait, did I leave the oven on? I did make fire broth before I left. Oh, blasted brimstone, I've done it again.
So as you heard, the character stayed the same between each shot. This is a really useful tip if you want consistency with your character's voices. I also created those background sound effects in that video using 11 Labs sound effect tool, so definitely check that out. Now 11 Labs doesn't generate the video as well, so you will have to download that audio, and then you can use a free video editor like CapCut to then add in the new audio onto that video. I'll make sure to leave links to all of the software talked about in this video in the description below. V3's image to video also works really well with conveying emotions. So in this next example, I created a short advert for people whose pets have died. So here's the video.
Every morning for 10 years, he waited by that door.
I didn't think goodbye would come this soon.
I really miss cleaning up after him. He always made one hell of a mess.
If you or a loved one has lost a beloved pet, then make sure to call Pet Haven today.
I think that's a really good showcase on how well it can handle certain emotions, so make sure to experiment with emotions in your prompting. VO3 is exceptional at creating cinematic videos. Now that we can use images in VO3 and it also generate audio, it works really well for cinematic scenes. So I actually created 2 short scenes which were inspired by famous films, and bonus points for anyone who could guess the 2 films I've used. Leave your guesses in the comments below. They are quite easy, but anyway, here's the videos.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhäuser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die.
Fear is the mind killer.
Power over spice is power over all!
Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk?
I'm really impressed with how they've turned out. As you get to create the look from the first images, it allows us to create some really cinematic looking videos. Okay, so we've reached the end of this video, and I can't wait to keep experimenting with this new feature. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you have any comments, then please leave them down below. My name is Jack, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.